His current work has been formulated by his experience, encounters and enthusiasm for people and for their stories. Put your hands together for J.P. Morgan Jr.
Thank you. I need my clicker and presentation, which you did. Here it is. Hi guys, how you doing? Good. So, my name is JP. I consider myself a traveler in many ways. I spent many years traveling, lots of different travel experiences. One of the reasons why I travel, and the big reason is summed up really well by Maya Angelou. She says, perhaps travel cannot prevent bigotry, but by demonstrating that all peoples cry, laugh, eat, worry, and die, it can introduce the idea that if we try and understand each other, we may even become friends. So for me, a big part of travel, and I started, it was like, I will see the world. It became, I will meet the world, because it's about connecting and people. So human connection is what I'm going to talk about today. Another reason, though, that I like travel is because, there's a picture I took in Kolkata. When you travel and you go somewhere that's completely different than anywhere you've ever been before, you confront situations, you come into situations that are very disorienting. Who's been to India? Anybody? Okay. So as a Westerner, the first time in India, maybe you can relate. So, excuse me, are you available to give me a ride? And then he goes like this, and you're like, oh, does that mean yes? And he does it again, and then you start to walk away, and he does this, and does that mean get away from me? Does that mean come closer? And it's confusing, it's disorienting. And when you have that experience, you can't blame anything out there. You can't blame him, you can't blame the people, because everybody is that way, and you have to look within. So I love this idea of travel, forcing you to look into yourself, and to look at how you see the world, and what you're creating for your experience. So today I want to talk about just an idea that I have, that I've been sharing. And this idea is about how you experience human connection. And it's an idea about distinctions and different ways that you can go about experiencing human connection. And the reason I want to share this distinction with you is I have found that by being able to make this distinction, it allows me to make better human connections and to connect with more people. And to connect this with the idea of the event today, my passion for human connection, that's what I think philanthropy of the 21st century is all about. It's us being philanthropic in our individual lives with everybody we meet, right? Bringing it to the personal level. So the model is what I call the three intentions: giving, trading, and taking. And what I mean by that, intentions, is you've experienced all of these before. You all do them, we all do them. Taking is the intention to just want to get something from somebody. So you walked into a shop somewhere before in your life, and the person there was just trying to sell you. They were just trying to get something from you, right? Maybe they're trying to, oh, would you like to buy this? How about this? Da 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 da. And when that happens, it doesn't feel very good, right? You just kind of want to get away. So that's really obviously not an easy way to connect with somebody. You've also walked into maybe a shop at some point in your life, and the person there was so welcoming and warm and friendly, and she was just sharing, just wanted to know your name, where you're from, and it was like she's not even interested in selling anything. And you're just like, wow, it feels like I've been friends with this person forever. And you just really connect with them. She wasn't trying to get anything. In fact, she was just giving. She was just sharing. That's the intention of giving. But where this becomes interesting is this kind of middle ground. Trading, the intention of trading is what I say, it's that when we're simultaneously giving, while at the same time there's something we want to get. And this is where we actually end up most of the time. So trading is kind of like, I work with, sometimes I work with people in dating, single men and women. And an example, a really great example is typically of a guy, let's think of a guy who's just taking, right? The guy walks up to him and says, oh, you're really beautiful, you should come with me. Right? Obviously he's just taking. Girls like, that's creepy, get away from me. Oh, but the opposite would be a guy that sees a woman, she's beautiful, and he says to her, wow, you're stunning, or, or where are you from? And just starts sharing what he feels and thinks about her. Whereas trading would be the guy who sees a woman, thinks she's beautiful, and then says to her, oh, that's a lovely dress. And are you saying that because you really want to share this with her? Or are you saying that because you want her to think that you're complimenting her so that she will like you? Because deep down, he's saying this thing that's a compliment to give, but at the same time, he wants her to like him, to validate him. And this is the kind of experience that we have all the time. So many times we're talking to people, and we're saying the things that are nice, we're sharing, but we're doing it because at the same time, we want them to like us, we want them to validate us, we want to get something from them. And this simultaneous thing, that's what I call trading. So I'm going to give a lot more examples. and about how this affects our lives. Intimate relationships, partners, right? This stuff comes up all the time. With your partner, you get into an argument. I was just in an argument with my girlfriend the other day about, it's ridiculous, just usually like nothing, right? It was about nothing, and just, you get in that space where you're like, you're arguing, but not even arguing about the thing anymore, you're just arguing because you want her to like stop, or you want her to apologize, or you just want to win, and that's when I'm doing that, that's me taking. I'm just trying to say, I might be logically saying things, I might be trying to share an idea, but my intention is because I want you to apologize, and it's horrible and we all do it. Trading is when you say, you know what, we don't need to fight anymore. We don't need to fight anymore, let's just forget about this. Seriously. No, I said we don't need to fight anymore, let's just forget about this. I said we don't need to fight anymore. What happened there? I was like feigning relaxed, right? I was okay, as long as in the next few seconds you were okay too. That's what I call trading. You weren't really giving, because if you were really giving, it wouldn't matter what she did. Or vice versa, he, right? Whereas pure giving, and you guys know this from being in an intimate relationship, pure giving is in that moment where you genuinely decide here and here, I'm done, it doesn't matter, this is ridiculous, I love them. And you give them a hug, or whatever it is, and they might wiggle and squirm and be mad, doesn't matter, like I don't care. I'm not hugging you right now because I need you to stop being mad, it's because I am really just giving, both here and here. And what happens when you do that? Instantly it starts to melt. The anger goes away. And instantly inside you it gets stronger and stronger. You become like, yeah, I'm so giving. Wow, I'm like Jesus. I'm like Buddha. I just gave so much and it totally fixed the whole thing. It feels so good, right? That's the difference. The subtle difference between trading and giving. That's the distinction. Another reason why this is important is trading kills human connection. You know, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but think about it. Because that's a lovely dress, right? This idea of talking to somebody while being distracted. You can even be trading while listening. You know, I'm listening to you, we're having a conversation, and I'm listening, and I'm nodding, and I'm, yeah, and I just look over there, and I'm just like, I'm listening because I want you to think that I'm listening, so that you think that I'm being polite, and that we can have this connection, right? I want something from you all at the same time. So I'm not really listening. That's trading. It's your intentions mixed up. You get two things going on at once. It's natural, we all do it. But it sabotages human connection. It's not that guy's creepy or that girl's creepy, get away from me. And it's not, oh wow, they're so easy to be along with. It's that, I just didn't have the right vibe. You ever meet somebody where it just didn't get the right vibe, just was a funny vibe, couldn't really connect with them? I think it's usually because there's something that they want for themselves that they're simultaneously trying to get. When I was in India, or in Cambodia and Thailand, a lot of different places, developing country, of course you come across a lot of poverty, and seeing the kids is the hardest, obviously. But it's funny because it was hard for me to see that. You know, I have empathy and sympathy and it's difficult, but what was harder was how it messed with my head. Because, this is always hard to say to people, especially in an audience, but at the same time that I felt bad and I wanted to help the kids, a lot of the times I just wanted them to get the hell away from me. Like, stop pulling on my shirt, stop asking me for $1. My girlfriend said, don't say this at the talk, it's ridiculous. But remember that video game? There was like the heads that come up and you have that big foam hammer and you have to hit them down? That's what I was like thinking of in that moment. And I was like, then of course my quiet time was like, what's wrong with me? Like, what? I'm such an ass. You know, like, these kids have nothing and I'm frustrated with them, what is it? And I didn't get it for years, I really didn't get it. I thought it meant I wasn't empathetic enough or not compassionate enough, but I don't think that anymore. I think that as human beings inside, we have an automatic biological response to people trying to take something from us. And although I had empathy for them, I simultaneously, at the same time, unconsciously, automatically had this feeling of discomfort because they were trying to take something from me. Not because they needed it, but because they were trying to take from me, even though I could afford it. It's just a feeling we all have. So, but this kid, I was in northern India, I saw him a few different times. He was in this area for a couple of weeks, and he carried this box around with stuff to fix shoes, and he kept asking if he could fix my shoes, and I finally let him. He put some glue on one of my boots to fix the rubber, and then he cleaned them all off. And at the end, he just kind of stood up and smiled, and he didn't say anything. I said, so how much do I owe you? And he said, as you wish, whatever, right? So I gave him like $20, the equivalent to like a billion rupees or something. His eyes almost like flew out of his head. And As I say that to you right now, I'm sure that some of you right now are thinking that must be trading, right? He does something nice for me and I pay him. That's a trade. But this is a distinction that's important. Is you can trade in business and you can trade in life and relationships. You can engage in the action of trade, but you can do so with the intention of giving. And he did. And the reason I know he did is because it felt like he did. And in the context of human connection, feelings are what matter. The way that I felt about him is what mattered. That's what allowed us to connect. So his ability to say, I'm going to go out into the world with my box, and I'm going to do stuff for people, and I'm going to make money, that's trade. And at the same time, to be able to go into that experience in that moment and let go of all that stuff you might get later, hopefully, and just fully be in the full expression, intention, attitude of giving, enabled us to connect. It enabled us to connect. It enabled me to feel comfortable and to be relaxed enough to engage with the empathy that I also had to give him so much more money than he was probably looking for or expecting. Because I could and I wanted to. Just brought that wall down. Another thing about trading, and this is a big thing, this is a thing where it's going to make the most difference for you guys, I hope, is that trading very often stops us from doing anything at all. When we trade, here's a couple examples of trade. Inside my head and inside my heart, I'm trading, right? I will come over there and talk to you, as long as when I do, it will be a comfortable experience for me. Or I will be completely present in this job interview and share with you about who I am and what I can offer this company, as long as I know that I'm going to get the job. Or I will come up on the stage at TEDx and share my ideas with you, as long as I know that you'll think it's a good idea, or that you'll like me, right? Why do you think public speaking is the #1 fear? It's because we're trading. It's natural. We come up here, I will do this for you as long as I know that you're going to like me. And because we have this trade going on, what happens is it causes a problem. Because the clincher is that you don't get to know. You don't get to know. So you're trading something that you never get to know. And so what happens is you have uncertainty. When you have that uncertainty, you feel anxiety and fear. You don't get to know if you're ever going to get that. So you feel fear. What happens when you feel fear? What do they usually say? You don't do it, right? But what's the usual advice? The usual advice out there is, well, change your limiting beliefs about what that fear means to you. Or change your state. Get in the right energy state. Just plow through it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And this stuff's got value. I'm not going to say it doesn't. You can't experience flying unless you jump out of a plane, right? But in the context of human connection, I have a different idea. And it's an idea that I get by looking at the world in my interactions with people here today and everywhere in the same way that I do when I'm traveling. If I'm interacting with you and I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to look inside me as to why that's happening. And I'm going to say, what does that feeling have to do with me? You ever been walking down the street and somebody's coming at you and they're like on their phone, like, and you see them coming and you're like, oh, you don't know which way to go because you don't know where they're going to go? Yeah, so the reason that you do that is because you don't know where they're going to go, and you don't know that because you can't see their eyes, because they're looking at their phone. Because when people are walking, they look where they're going to go next. Because you can't see their eyes, you don't know where they're going to go, you don't know their intention. And we don't know somebody's intention, we feel uncomfortable. So feelings are signposts to intention. Both another person's feelings, but your own as well. So when I get a feeling of anxiety, if I get nervous up here, I instantly realize that I'm nervous because there's something that I want and I'm not sure I'm going to get it. So that means I'm trading. So what I do is I instantly switch my focus to give completely. I just say, you know what, I don't care about the trade anymore, I'm just going to give. In this moment, completely, that's all I care about. Just giving. And what happens when you do that? Fear just melts away. Totally vanishes. Because it is impossible for fear to exist at the same time when you're giving. It's impossible. The same reason, when you decide fully to give, this is how you know. This is how you know whether you're trading or taking. If you have a discomfort, a negative emotion, fear, anger, you're not giving. I stand by that. If you find a way to experience fear or anger while you're giving, call me, email me, explain it to me, then you'll blow my mind. I'll have a whole new model that will come out of that, right? But I'm telling you, it isn't possible. If you feel fear, then you're taking or you're trading. Move to giving. Just one last little story to wrap up. This is important to me on the level of the own experiences that we have, right? What we're able to create in our lives. But also, it's important on a bigger scale. There's a whole other talk that I do about how much impact we have on the world. If you look at the science out there, the research, the amount of influence we have on the world is huge, right? The whole reciprocal effect. When I was in Egypt a few years back, actually 5, 6 years back now, I was visiting an Egyptian family I met through a friend, and there was a father, a son, and 3 little girls, and we had a great time hanging out and getting to know each other. And they were from a completely different world they'd never been a part of. They dressed different, they listened to different music, they talked differently, and we were having a laugh about all this. Even this, when we washed our hands for dinner, about the way they washed their hands versus the way I did, and it was really funny and cute. And there was a point after dinner when we were hanging out in the evening. The girl was about 14, she was looking at me and she said out loud in Arabic, I didn't understand it, she said something, and then my girlfriend at the time just kind of went, oh, and I was like, what did she say? And she said, oh, I don't know, I don't know, it's okay, I don't know, tell me, what did she say, really? She said, well, if he's so nice, how can he be an American? And at that time, it wasn't funny for me, I mean it's funny now, but Bush was president and they were dropping bombs in the Middle East, so people that dressed like her, spoke like her, talked like her in the same language obviously, and washed their hands like she did, my country is dropping bombs, and more importantly, her teacher told her that Americans are bad people. So that was a point where I realized that this whole thing, the whole passion about connection, it wasn't just important for me and my experience and my growth and learning. It was important for the world, because that connection was something that was conflicting with this idea she was brought in school, and I hope that lives on more strongly than the one her teacher gave her. And so I just love you guys to try this model on, this taking, trading, giving thing, and you start to experience it and notice when you're trading and how to shift into giving. And bring this into all the stuff, the just do it thing. I love it. And I think that the reason why we sometimes just don't just do it is because we're trading, and there's something we want in return, and we're afraid, and you know what? Just switch to giving, and it's so much easier. And if we all go out and do this, hopefully, we're connecting with more people. And if you do, well then we're understanding more people, and if we do that, then we may even become friends. Thank you.